In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we just concluded our first semifinal matchup as the Miami Stealth are headed to the Mega Brawl Championship August 1st, this upcoming Thursday. I'm Miguel Flores. Alongside with me is the man, the trainer with one of the best brains in all of boxing, Stephen Breadman Edwards. And Stephen, it was a very close contest, what we anticipated between the LA Elite and the Miami Stealth, but those middle rounds were the entire difference. Miami and LA fought evenly. The launch rounds, they fought evenly. The money rounds, but your difference right in the middle.
You know, that's coaching, because he puts his guys in a situation where they can kind of get on those rolls. And if everything's even all throughout, and then at one point you get a nice little roll where you can win 6 out of 8, then you know that's the difference, and that seems to be the difference. Their coach did a good job on getting them on that roll, because I saw LA fight Philly a few months ago, and I thought LA had the stronger team, but the way it was matched up, Miami just had the right people in the right spot. You know, LA probably has the best fighter in Leon overall, but he can only fight one fight at a time. So good job, I was impressed.
And you know what I think was a huge difference? LA, what we've seen when they've had success, they've scored knockdowns, they've scored knockouts, they've had those guys like Leon, guys like Solomon, have really big rounds, and even though they've lost more rounds than they've won, those knockdowns and knockouts have helped them propel them, you know, to those victories. And Miami fought a very clean fight. Yes, they may have lost a few rounds here or there, but none of their fighters ended up suffering one of those 10-8 or 10-7 rounds.
It's true, because you're exactly right. LA, Leon, and the guy who fought Joe McClellan Jr., they won their fights, but they only won them by 1 point. They didn't blow anybody out. So I can see why they acknowledge Joe McClellan Jr., because he lost his fight, but he didn't get demolished. He didn't lose 10-7, so it kind of kept the LA Stars from getting the 10-7 or 10-8 rounds, which is crucial in a contest like this.
And you really got to have a full balanced roster top to bottom, because every team has stars. Every team has those premier fighters, and the key in those rounds, like you mentioned, is to minimize the damage. You want it to be, okay, if I'm going to lose the round, I want to make it tough on them. Maybe I could steal the round, but if I can't, I'm going to make sure I hold my own and only give up 1 point.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. The Stars from LA, they were not able to blow out their opponents from Miami, so the win was just a 10-9 win. That's all it was.
What was your takeaway throughout that fight? Who stood out to you in your opinion, whether it be for Miami or LA?
Leon stood out to me, and let me get the other guy's name. His name was the gentleman who fought Joe McClellan Jr., Solomon. Like I said, LA has probably the 2 best fighters in the competition, but it's 24 rounds. So they stood out, but I really respect what Miami's coach did, because despite him not having guys maybe as good as those 2 guys, he was consistent with his other fighters, and he put them in the right spot. And he has Jenny Fuchs, who always wins. So I was very impressed with how it was set up, because in boxing, they say boxing is an individual sport. But in this, you have to have a correct order, because it is a team concept. So I enjoyed it.
And you got to give major props to the women. Jenny Fuchs and Samantha Jonathan really handle things in that 126-pound division, as both really controlled things and won both of their rounds. So you're talking 4 rounds right there between just those 2 fighters.
That's 4 points.
Yep.
That's 4 points. So.
And what was the final score?
That's 4 points. Exactly.
Exactly.
They did good. Yep.
So LA, I mean, they fought valiantly. They were extremely tough, but they just could never get over that hump and score one of those big rounds. And if you're looking at Miami, I mean, they're a dangerous opponent for whoever comes out of this next semifinal matchup between Philly Smoke and the Boston Butchers. Does Miami have what it takes to close the show and become Mega Brawl champions?
Sure. They got a good team. I was impressed. I'm not going to lie. I was impressed. I saw LA, so I was a little bit more familiar with them. I was high on the kid, Leon, but I was impressed by the way Miami is coached and the way they put their team in a certain order. You know, the winner of Philly and Boston is going to have their work cut out for them.
One thing I noticed too, and Brett, man, you can attest to this, you know, being a trainer, being in a corner, you can tell the fighters really respect Irvin Caicedo. They listen to what he says in the corner, and you know that's not always the case with fighters. You can yell instructions, and they, you know, once the punches start flying, they kind of go on their own game plan, and they really stuck to the game plan Caicedo had for them.
He's good. He's real good. He's one of the better coaches in boxing. You know, he may not be as popular as everybody else, but him and Manny Robles are elite coaches. And Manny Robles was the head coach in the corner when Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua. That's a huge win that many coaches don't get in their life. And Herman Kincaid, I've been watching him a while. He's really good. Both guys are elite coaches.
Was there anything LA could have done differently, you know, after looking back on, you know, to steal this one, or was there kind of a swing in momentum outside of those middle rounds, obviously, but was there anything you saw that could have maybe an adjustment here, adjustment there, and they're the ones going into Mega Brawl?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Probably let Leon fight 24 times. That's the only thing I can think of.
You wish you could have that in your back pocket, but, you know, I think looking at LA and their team, it was a challenging season, but a much better season than season one, where they didn't even make the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs this year. They were in the semifinals. They fought the Miami Stealth, you know, neck and neck, and they were just right there. They have talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next season. But Brian Leon, I believe, should be the most valuable fighter for Team Combat League. What say you?
I mean, I haven't seen everybody, but he is probably the best that I've seen. But Philly has a kid named Isaiah Johnson that's really
we're going to see shortly.
Yes, and they have another kid named Euri Cedeno. I had him in camp. He is very, very explosive. He's the southpaw middleweight. He's also very good. And there's a kid from James Schuller's gym named Rasheen Brown. So let me kind of see how their fights play out before I see that.
That's coming up. You got the Boston Butchers and the Philly Smoke. Once again, the Mega Brawl Championship will be live on DAZN this Thursday, August 1st. One team has already punched their ticket to the finals in the Mega Brawl Championship. That's the Miami Stealth, winning 230 to 227 over the LA Elite. But now they will be able to sit back and watch as the Boston Butchers and the Philly Smoke go toe-to-toe to see who is that second slot. So we have that matchup coming up shortly. But congratulations to the Miami Stealth and the LA Elite as we now start to turn our attention a little bit over to Philly Smoke and the Boston Butchers, and this is a rematch. So Miami and LA never fought throughout the season, so this was the first time they saw each other. Boston and Philly did see each other, and Boston gave Philadelphia their only defeat on the season in Boston back in May. So you know Philly is going to come out hot, and they're going to want to adjust things and return the favor when it matters here in the playoffs.
Yes, they will. Philadelphia's a fight town, so I know they're going to want to get some get back in front of their hometown fans.
I know you're getting itchy. You know, being in here in Philadelphia, you have such a unique perspective being here and understanding the type of fighters that come out of this city, brother.
Well, I know so many of these kids, and just from the gyms and just being around them. I know Nahir Albright is a good kid. Yuri Cedeno, I had him in camp with Julian Williams, Rasheen Brown, Isaiah Johnson, I've seen him spar, Ray Robinson, I know. So I know a lot of these kids personally, so this will be really interesting to see how that translates to a one-round fight.
So as we are waiting, Boston Butchers and the Philly Smoke, they are getting set, they're ready. The crowd is packed here at 2300 Arena, and that's one thing I love here about fighting in Philadelphia is the fans really come out and support their own in Philadelphia. And, you know, we saw it with Jerome Boots Ennis a few weeks ago where he had the crowd packed here. People in Philadelphia, they'll come out and support their own, and they're here to support the Philadelphia Smoke.
We're Fight City. We're a sports city, but you got to win. That's the thing about Philly. They'll turn on you if you don't win.
Yeah, and that could be anything.
Yep.
It could be fighting, it could be football, basketball, but you know, they are loyal to their own. The people, the athletes that give it back and succeed and have, you know, accomplishments. You know, you dealt with that with J-Rock, Dewey Williams, champion, you know, a unified champion at 154, and the people showed out for him, and they stood behind him, and that was a memorable moment in your career and his career, you know, when he became a world champion in this city. And now, as we continue to see more and more Philadelphia natives, you know, make a name for themselves, and you got more natives that are set to make a name for themselves. But we got the Boston Butchers and the Philly Smoke coming up shortly. Our second semifinal matchup is on the way. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in here to 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We are getting set for our second semifinal matchup. The Miami Stealth have already punched their ticket to the Mega Brawl. We are now waiting to see who will that next team be. Will it be the Boston Butchers or will it be the Philadelphia Smoke? Miguel Flores joined alongside by Stephen Breadman Edwards, and then of course the president, Team Combat League, Dewey Cooper and Dewey. We got Boston, Philadelphia, a rematch as Philadelphia is trying to get one back here in the playoffs. They fell short. Their only loss of the season by 1 point. By 1 point, they lost to Boston back in May. But now, this is when it matters. In the playoffs, it's win or go home.
Yes, and that fight was a very close, contested fight. Boston felt like they pulled it out. However, Philly feel like they won the fight. What you're seeing here is a breakout that happened last week in the quarterfinal playoffs between the Atlanta Attack and the Boston Butchers. Suspensions have been brought down to several fighters. One of my favorite fighters in the entire league is Rasheen Ellis from the Boston Butchers. They're fabulous middleweight. due to the altercations that happened last week in the quarterfinals in Boston, he is suspended. And so he won't be fighting tonight. That's a devastating blow to Boston. But guys, we have to be accountable for our actions and accept the consequences on the things we do. Unfortunately, several people have been suspended from that melee that happened last week, including some of the coaches and whatnot. So Boston is going to be fighting with their backs against the wall.
You know, and I credit you, Coach Dewey Cooper, for disciplining the fighters. As good of a fighter as Rasheen Ellis is, you know, you didn't overlook that. You know, if you, like you said, there's a zero tolerance policy for violence. You want to keep the violence between the fight, inside the rounds. And, you know, unfortunately that had to happen. And now Boston has a little bit of an uphill battle. How can they adjust to replace a guy like Rasheen Ellis?
Well, absolutely. No one's above the league. And just like the NFL, the NHL, we have a code of conduct. If you violate that, there'll definitely be suspensions and fines. Boston are a fabulous organization. They have to figure it out. You know, Boston's a Beantown's the city of championships. Can they win one without their Tom Brady, which is Rasheen Ellis? We'll find out against a real tough, sturdy Philadelphia Smoke team tonight.
Now I understand we have a new scoring system. Coach Dewey Cooper, did you want to go over that, you know, when it comes to the Philadelphia Smoke and the Boston Butchers and how the scoring could potentially affect, you know, this matchup in the semis?
Well, first of all, guys, this is record-breaking. This is going to blow up the entire state of boxing. Tonight, due to last week's quarterfinals here in Philadelphia, there was a huge outcry from the fans about biased, unfair scoring. So us as a company, we're very progressive. We're very proactive. So tonight, we're going to make sure the fighting field is leveled. We're innovators, and we're starting a new scoring criteria, a new judging criteria tonight. We're going to have, instead of 3 eyes judging the fights, we're going to have 9 pairs of eyes judging the fight. We have 9 judges. They're going to be split up in groups of 3. The group 1, panel 1 of judges, are the Pennsylvania Athletic Commission's judges. Panel 2 are the coaches in Team Combat League. And those coaches are David Hayes from the Las Vegas Hustle, A.C. Bryant from the San Antonio Snipers, and Coach Benny Roman from the New York City Attitude. Those are the judges of Panel 2. The Panel 3 judges are Jeff Mayweather, Willie Hall. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and he was the coach of the San Antonio Snipers last season. And also, he's a TCL analyst, a boxing coach, and a mixed martial arts coach. And that's no other than Robert Navone. So we have 9 different people judging the fight tonight. People online, you can't yell and scream about unfair judging tonight. We're breaking the mold of boxing and coming with the most fair way to judge a fight. And you're going to see it tonight. We're first in Team Combat League. We're the first making sure that women fought 3-minute rounds. We're the first about to do this with the scoring. Our whole goal is to improve the great state of boxing that we all love.
Thank you, Dewey. And as we take a look at the launch rounds, Breadman, what do you see here? Some of the matchups as we kind of dive into things, you know, in those, you have Nahir Albright against Alejandro Paulino with the Boston Butchers and the Philadelphia Smoke, 2 of the top fighters for both teams.
Yeah, Nahir Albright is actually a world contender at 135 pounds. He gave Keyshawn Davis all he wanted in the fight. So he's a serious contender. No, so I'm looking forward to that fight.
And Alejandro Paulino, he's Coach Dewey Cooper, you know. Alejandro Paulino, he's pretty much the best fighter left for the Boston Butchers.
Yeah, he's also in the race for most valuable fighter of the entire league. He's a fabulous fighter.
And then here in the middle rounds, Coach Dewey Cooper, what do you see here? Is there anything that stands out to you? You know, and in regards to matchups, who could have the advantage?
Of course. The heavyweights, Skylar Lacy and Brandon Clayton, they got each other's face yesterday at the weigh-ins. They talked their trash to each other. Each other said they're going to knock one another out. We'll see tonight in the middle rounds.
And then we go to our money rounds. This is where it could potentially be a difference. They fought closely last time, 226 to 225, and Boston was able to score more knockdowns than the Philadelphia Smoke, and that ended up being the difference here. In the money rounds, you see Nahir, Albright, Alejandro, Paulino going again. But you mentioned Henry Cedeno is also featured on the Philadelphia Smoke. So some really talented fighters as we take a look at Nahir, Albright, Alejandro, Paulino, Breadman. And you mentioned you've got a very familiarity with Nahir Albright, and he's a talented fighter for the Philadelphia Smoke.
The fight I like real fast in the money rounds, don't forget about this guy. His name is Abril Graham. He's going against Avery Sparrow. Abril fought on the Dallas Enforcers team. He's an incredible fighter, and he might be the key addition to the Butchers to help them dethrone the #1 seeded team and Team Combat League, the Philadelphia Smoke. Don't forget the name, A.J. Graham.
Breadman, how do you see this playing out? Philadelphia Smoke, Boston Butchers.
You know, last time I picked LA and I was wrong. I'm not as familiar with Boston. I wasn't as familiar with Miami, so I'm going to reserve my pick because I know the Philadelphia fighters. So on paper, the Philadelphia fighters are the more established pros, but that don't really mean nothing in a one-round fight. It's a different concept. So I'm going to reserve my pick right now because I don't know Boston well enough.
All right, guys.
One thing, real fast. Boston did it once. Can they do it twice? Or will Philly continue on to face the Miami Stealth in the Team Combat League final?
All right, our semifinal matchup on the way. Boston Butchers, Philadelphia Smoke. Let's send it over to Rich Quinones.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Teed up brilliantly by the panel. Bubba Jenkins, Rich Quinones, ringside. You see the ring behind us inside the famed 2300 Arena, South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Boston and Philly, a rivalry renewed. Boston got the upper hand on Philly, 226, 225 earlier. But as Dewey Cooper mentioned, no Ellis, and more importantly, 9 sets of eyes. You know, there's been a lot of hemming and hawing on the judging and the scoring. In full transparency, I thought Dewey mapped it out brilliantly and beautifully. At the end of the day, it's all about being fair, competitive balance. We want both teams to have a shot tonight, but man, that Boston squad is undermanned, and Philly's, they're on to something. They're smoking people.
Philly is in home. Philly's at home with the Smoke. I'm sure they're excited to do what they got to do and get on with Boston.
Listen, this is a stacked roster. I think if you're Boston, kind of what we saw earlier in the evening, Miami was able to bank rounds early. I think Boston's got to bank rounds. They got to take Philly in a situation they don't want to be in, right? Have them all of a sudden, boom, be behind. If they can do that, maybe they upset the apple cart. We'll see how it plays out. We are set. Doubleheader number 2. Boston and Philly. The winner advances to Mega Brawl to take on the upstart Miami Stealth. Back up to our ring announcer, Miguel Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as we get ready for our second semifinal matchup for Team Combat League. Our matchups are sanctioned by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission. We also want to thank our sponsors, Venom, Adams Boxing, and Two Trees Distilling. It is now time for our second semifinal matchup. First up, led by head coach Mark Gargaro, here are the Boston Butchers.
So you see Boston looking to upset the apple cart. You saw Jimmy Birchfield there. This is a team that I guess you can say emblematic, resembles the fighting city of Boston. I mean, they're spoiled when it comes to what we've seen in the NHL, in baseball with the Red Sox, and of course in the NFL with the Pats. What is the winning recipe for Boston tonight? They got to come out of the gate, and as Bubba has mentioned when he uses those NFL analogies, you got to try to run the ball early and set the tone, and you set the pace, and that starts with the all-important launch rounds. You got 8 rounds to get it done. And I'm also wondering, too, because this team is undermanned, maybe it's almost as though you approach it where, hey, we're playing with house money. We've got nothing to lose. Let's be a little loosey-goosey. Let's keep it competitive and hope that maybe Philly slips up a little bit and maybe they tighten up going into the money rounds, which could decide it all. So uphill battle for Boston. But as Dewey mentioned, as we know, it is a city of champions, and they are going to bring it against Philly tonight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now introducing their opponent, led by head coach Bob Kane. Here is your hometown team, the Philadelphia Smoke.
Well, we let the fans carry you through on that one. The upstart chip on the shoulder, bring the lunch pail to work. You better clock in and clock out. Philadelphia Smoke. Their head coach, a man of few words, head coach Bob Kane, who once in a while will give you a little something, but it's more about the grin, and right now he's got the game face on. This is a veteran team. This is a chippy team. This is a team that feels as though they've been overlooked, underrated, dismissed, and disrespected all season long. We saw what they did to Vegas. They're going to try to take what happened last weekend, that momentum, and carry it into tonight. And they also know Boston got away with one with that 226-225 win. Now, look, Philadelphia is not going to be at 100% full strength when you look at their body of work on the roster, but man, they've got fighters through and through. And I'll just say this. If Boston doesn't get out of the gate early, we can see what we saw last week between Vegas and Philly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are set for our launch rounds representing Philadelphia in 126 pounds, Rasheen Brown, and for Boston, Iman Lee.
A little housekeeping on the ring as we get set for Brown and Lee. It is absolutely packed inside the 2300 Arena, standing room only, and of course we welcome in fight fans viewing us on TCL BrawlPass and DAZN. Bubba Jenkins, Rich Quinones, ringside. Here we go. The winner will take on Miami in Mega Brawl 2. Will it be the gritty squad from Boston or the upstart Philadelphia Smoke? Let's see how this one plays out. You know the crowd is going to be in it from every ooh and ah, every jab, body shot, and we'll see how it plays out. Brown and Lee.
I like the way Brown came out, very aggressive in his face, letting them know this is a different fight, it's a different night.
Brown, one of those
good left hand to a right hand, southpaw action, you gotta love that.
One of those fast starters, upstart fighter from Philadelphia, name to remember. It's a tough matchup for Lee. Brown's a good counter puncher, works off that jab really well. Tight guard, you see that left hand, bang! Just like that.
Too straight, too straight.
Philly throwing a little smoke early on in round one to set the table.
Rasheen having his way in there, having a good time, looking at the crowd, getting everyone involved. You would see that from an opponent who's at home, not an away guy. And that's exactly what Sheen's doing here, being in Philly.
And Boston just has to weather the early storm. They just have to try to keep it close going into the middle rounds. And I will say this, Philly might be cocky and confident, but they're not going to be overconfident. They're not going to be dismissive of Boston. Their head coach, Bob Kane, will not allow that. They're on a mission right now.
Good right hook coming in. Sheen Brown land. He's been testing that right hook all night. Finally got it clean like he wanted it. Didn't affect his opponent, but it was a nice slapping right hook to let his opponent know you just can't come in with no nonsense.
And you see right there the touch up down the midsection and right up top, and the crowd loving it already. Right hand by Brown. Lee trying to counter for Boston. $1:18 to go. Round one of 24 launch rounds. Little body shot.
That double left hand is really giving Lee a problem. So
left hand as well. Another right up top. I think Philadelphia knows we want to put our best foot forward early and just try to break Boston's will.
Yeah. Shane Brown really getting everything that he wants off as far as his offense goes.
Nice touch up there by Lee, though, coming back on the counter.
He's definitely game. He's a a game fighter, tough, and he's still in here. He's not feeling embarrassed. A lot of fighters will start to fight themselves out of a fight. He's still in here swinging with all of his understanding and all of his pizzazz. He wants to have the same swag as any other fighter in there. While Rasheen Brown is just a step ahead of him.
He's a special fighter. You bookmarked a couple of the fighters that are fighting out of Philly tonight. Some of the talent coming out of the Northeast. Only chance we're going to see Brown this evening, so good start for Philadelphia. Take a look at some of the action.
Yeah, it was a good job, Rasheen Brown. Way to start off with that check hook right there that he's been landing all night, and he was doubling up on that left hand. Hit him with an overhand right there, right over the top of the jab. Just beautiful job by Rasheen Brown.
Let's go to Miguel.
Now for the 126-pound women's division. For Philadelphia, Shera Patricio against Boston's Abril Anguiano. And the last round, Philadelphia won 10-9 over Boston. 10-9, Philadelphia won round one.
Anguiano for Boston. Patricio, we saw her last week. She was brilliant in action for Philadelphia. Another one of those punchers. She'll work the body, but she'll do everything off the jab, tight guard, see her pressing forward from the get-go.
Yeah, she was very impressive last time we saw her, Shera Patricio, and just coming out aggressive on the front foot, not giving any space.
Anguiano has to make it an ugly fight. I think she's got to figure out, if I can get inside, let me get inside, but I do have to make this an ugly fight, not let Patricio get off.
Going to be hard getting inside, switching from orthodox to southpaw, but not switching forward. She's switching backwards. So when the opponent's coming forward, just like she just did right there, she'll switch her feet right in front of their opponent. She's southpaw right now. You'll watch as she's getting a little bit defensive. She'll go right into the orthodox position. There's offense, here comes the defense, and now her left foot's forward where she switches. So it could be a little bit of trouble later in the round. See southpaw now.
She'll be representing Boston too later on in the money rounds, midway through, but this is what she needs to do, make it a little bit of an ugly affair.
And that's different and a little bit special, to be offensively orthodox, to be defensively southpaw. So she's defensively right here in a southpaw position. She gave up some punching because you're usually not used to that.
And let me correct myself, Patricio will be representing Philly in the money rounds. Just want to be accurate on that. So 1:18 to go, Philly taking round one. They lead at 10-9.
Minute 15 left, it's still anyone's round.
Yes. That's a good left.
Good left, both of them traded. I mean, they almost look like twins right now.
Right. That's a good exchange right there.
Same hairstyles, same give, same want, different cities.
Boston and Philly.
Oh, just missed that left hook. But the thing about Philly is they can play to the crowd. They can allow the judges to be swayed by what they're doing, antics, circling around the ring, getting their crowd or their friends or their family involved, and their family and their family is going to react. So that might give a little sway. Boston cannot allow Philly to just dance in front of them and get the crowd involved, like she's doing right now with the smiling and saying oohs and ahs. All she's doing is swaying the judges without boxing at all.
And remember, too, what Dewey Cooper said in the onset, the 9 sets of eyes this evening, right? But I still think this is a Philly round because of the first minute or so in the round. Patricio just put the combinations together. But you'll see this from Philly. I mean, they will get to the point where if they're starting to feel it, now look, we got a long night to go. So if you're a Boston fan, do not hang your head. This is a long night.
You can't hang your head and you can't get unmotivated, you know, because they are going to come out with the crowd behind them. You are not in Boston.
Nope.
You were last week, and you
Correct.
had that same feeling. We're in a different place now.
Yep, and they won at 226-225. Miguel.
And now we move to the 135-pound division for Philadelphia, Nahir Albright, and for Boston, Alejandro Paulino. Philadelphia won the last round 10-9, so your score total is 20-18. Philadelphia on top.
That 226-225 Boston win was in Boston, so there you have it. Remember, Boston coming in empty-handed due to those suspensions, which are obviously justifiable, as Dewey mentioned, but they still come in losing a couple really good fighters. I mean, Ellis, obviously. And you see right now, Boston's fighting as if we're down on the scorecards. Here we go, Paulino trying to press the action against Nahir Albright.
Yeah, Albright brought out the national anthem last time. It's good to see him actually in here doing what he's actually known to do, even though he did bring the smoke when he got that anthem off.
The dual threat inside and outside the ring.
It's a good job by President Cooper finding multiple talented athletes, not only in TCL to just bring the boxing, but to bring the crowd involved as well. The Philadelphia guys singing the national anthem while also entertaining the crowd is an amazing job.
Little touch downstairs by Albright. Pino tried to come back with a counter, see if he moves forward a little more. A minute in, just missed with that right hand. Did Alejandro. Oh,
good right
How
hand.
about that? Slick combination by Albright downstairs a little bit to the body.
It's a good long punching by Albright. He ripped a good long jab, long to rip to the body, and he was long enough to get out of the way of that hook. And that left hook just landed. His opponent, Paulino, thought it was coming to the body, so he put his hands down to protect, and that left hook caught him upstairs beautifully. Good trick, good slip, good rip by Albright right there.
125 to go, round 3 of 24. Philly up by 2. They've taken the first 2. 10-9 across the board. They lead at 20-18. 117 left in this one. Paulino and Albright. Miami on their way to Mega Brawl. Who's going to face them, Boston or Philly?
Paulino's just aggressive, you know. He doesn't really care about the flash and the lights and all that Albright was being able to do. He don't care about Albright's singing voice and how he hit that tune on the national anthem. He just wants to be in your face. No striped stars or banners. He's just all leather and fist right now.
Well, listen, the last 30, 40 seconds trying to take the round back.
And he is. He's successfully
left
good
uppercut, though. Just like that, Albright.
And just like that, Paulino's being a dirty boxer. Not dirty in the sense of like, you know, being nasty, but being dirty in the sense of just getting in your face. Grill, just dirty jeans, dirty face, afro out, didn't think to comb, nothing, just all in your face. Doesn't care about Albright's home, his ability, or his singing. He's just in his face trying to get this round back.
And I say this with all due respect for Boston. I don't think they're talented enough to match up in the backyard with Philly. But as you mentioned, if you make it a dirty fight, the tactics, try to throw Philly off their game, you have a shot in this one.
And listen, he might not be able to do it, or Boston might not be able to do it tonight against Philly, but he just did it against Albright. I can't tell you that he won, but he made it dirty, ugly, and he stayed in his face. And Albright did a good job of getting off when he wanted to, but he was gun shy there. The uppercut landed, but Paulino stayed in his face and made it hard on the judges.
See how they saw it. Back up to Miguel.
We now go to our welterweight division. First up for Philadelphia, Isaiah Johnson versus Boston's Keno Luna.
Still waiting the scoring. See where the round went, Philly or Boston.
(10-9). Boston won the last round, so your score is 29-28. Philadelphia still on top.
Welcome to Philadelphia fight fans. The crowd not agreeing to that one, but that was a major round for Boston right now. And now Johnson has to kind of calm the waters. Isaiah Johnson, another one of those great young-looking fighters from Philadelphia, touching up Luna on the body, going right back downstairs. Luna comes back with a counter of his own. Boston down 1, but it's another body shot by Isaiah Johnson.
Listen, I'm in agreement with the judges on the last one, you know. More eyes on it, but it's definitely becoming a very, very accurate judging system.
You're going to need it tonight, and you're going to need it next weekend.
Oh, you're definitely going to need it tonight with
And
Boston
going
being
forward.
who they are and coming out being Town, being Natty Town, National Championship Town, World Championship Town. They're going to have some grit and some say in this fight to get to the championship. But Philly being at home, you can hear the oohs and ahs. It almost sounds unbalanced with everything that Philly's doing. And that's what they want it to be. That's what you want home court advantage to be. But you want it to be fair, and that's what we have is in the 9 eyes judge system.
And if you're Boston, you go out and you take it from Philly tonight. And that was a big round for them because you don't want to have Philly. Think about this. Philly ripped off 12 straight rounds last week against Vegas. Think about that right now. They broke their will early on. And Johnson trying to break down Luna with a $1:36 to go in round number 4. Oh, left hand snuck home and a little shoe shine, Philly style. Oh, goodness, up top. Johnson caught him again. Luna taking a lot of shots.
Yeah, Luna taking a lot of shots. Johnson feeling himself, being in his bag, swagging, hands behind his back, feeling like Shady McCoy right now, just doing his thing. Little Philly shuffle right there, little Philly shell. Made famous by Mayweather.
A minute to go, and Johnson, I think, kind of gave Luna a little bit of a break. I wanted to see him just keep applying that pressure even to the body. I think he had an opportunity to get Luna out of there.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, though, when you...
Oh,
good punch.
there's a left.
Good left hand. It takes a little bit to get the crowd involved and box to your ability and do this and do that. And, you know, he's putting on a show, hands behind his back, showboating a little bit. But after the hands start flying, you start to realize, man, I'm a little bit tired right now, you know. You start to see that and feel that. You're doing a little bit extra than you normally would. So, you know, it takes a little bit out. But he's putting on a great performance. And, you know, he could be the fighter of the night tonight or having the round of the night.
Johnson certainly one to watch going forward on the pro circuit. Only we're going to see him one time this evening. And I think he got the better of Luna in that one.
Sincerely.
Actually, as I double check, Bubba, he will close out round 24. So I just double checked my notes. He will close out round 24, but man, he closed out Luna here.
Little low blow right there, but he came up top really high upstairs into the attic, got him right behind the eye. And this one right here, that overhand was perfectly timed, and you wouldn't see a better punch.
Certainly a Philly round. Over to Miguel.
We go to the women's 147-pound division for Philadelphia. Brianna Carrera against Boston's Yvonne Flores. Philadelphia won the last round at 10-9. The score is now 39-37 Philadelphia.
So a 2-point cushion for the smoke. It'll be Flores and Carrera. Nice battle, 147 here. 3 minutes for the females. Brianna a little touch downstairs just for good measure to start things off. Trying to back out. Flores and a right and a left.
Good switch up. Usually people do the left hand, then the right hand from that left foot forward. So it's going to be the 1, then a 2. She kind of pictured the left hand, looked like she threw it out there and then slid that 2-1 in there, which is a little bit surprising and a little bit different of a technique. Most people go 1, 1, 1, 2, or 1, 2. She did it like a fake 1, 2, 1, and it was beautifully timed.
Right now has Flores guessing a little bit on her bicycle.
Yeah, Flores has got to be first. Why wait? You know, when the girl's at home and she's got the swag going, she's already tricked you with the 2-1. Why wait on her to do something to you? You got to get your offense going and go first. Some of the bouncing around and just moving your hands. Commit to something towards your opponent and get your opponent to start reacting to you, and you stop reacting to your opponent.
Agree. Midway through, Carrera does a nice job of just touching up downstairs, get Flores to drop that guard. She comes right back over the top with that right hand.
And that's what I've been seeing a lot in the TCL. A lot of the times when the opponents are fighting someone at home and the crowd's involved, they seem less aggressive. It's almost like they don't want to get embarrassed, hesitant, or don't want to get embarrassed by the crowd or the opponent doing something and getting the crowd involved. But if anything you do, whether you miss a punch or you miss the combination and that opponent realizes that you missed, they're going to act like they're doing the Ali shuffle, the moonwalk, and the robot just to get the crowd involved. But you got to stay locked in, and stay understanding that those antics aren't boxing. Those antics are just for the crowd. What you got to do is box for the judges.
You got to fight through it. And right now, both fighters with a little exchange. Carrera starting to get the best of Flores. I mean, you can hear the crowd in our ears and right behind us just going nuts right now.
Pushing Carrera forward, right? The crowd is motivating her to go after whatever that oohs and ahs, that anticipation, that anxiety, that is building. You can feel it because we're in Philly, and Philly has some of the best sports crowds that there is. But with 20 seconds left, you can reach your arm out and grab the tension and probably hit one of these girls with it.
It is standing room only inside the 2300. And to be honest, I've called hundreds of fights here for so many years. I've never heard it this loud before. It's amazing what TCL has done to captivate this city and this squad. Unbelievable job, and a hell of a fight between Carrera and Flores.
Yeah, wonderful fight between Flores. She was just a little late on that left hook. Carrera was getting through with that right hand. Beautiful overhand right that just beat the left hook of Flores. Got a little wrestling in there, which I love to see, but a good round all around for Philadelphia, I believe.
Let's go back to Miguel. Next fight, round 6.
We now move to the 160-pound division. Representing Philadelphia, Euri Cedeno against Boston's Ryan Pino. Philadelphia won the last round 10-9. The score is now 49-46, Philadelphia.
So Cedeno and Pino. Cedeno, an extremely talented fight. Ron and Pino, not a slouch as well. Smart fighter. I think he's going to have to be first in this one, and boom. Instead, it's Cedeno being first and looking for an early knockout for Philadelphia, up by 3. Oh, body shot, Cedeno again. Pino in trouble.
Deers in a headlight look. Some of these captains on Boston Butchers has got to start speaking to these fighters and say, hey, what are we doing? Let's get our mind back right. Let's get back in it. Let's get back and ready to box. Let's not allow the crowd to push us out of it, because that's what we're seeing happen right now. As a commentator, I'm watching the crowd take over, the home field advantage take over, and Boston is looking gun shy.
And I feel as though Boston's not going back to the basics, getting on the stick, getting off the jab, working off the jab a little. I feel as though they're just swinging for the fences at times out of hesitation and fear.
Absolutely. It is a lot to do with anxiety in the air. A lot of these things wouldn't happen in Boston. Fighting the same opponent in Boston things would be completely different. But because of the crowd and that home field advantage, you can feel them not want to make a mistake. And it's not just the fighters in the ring. It's the fighters on the outside listening to the crowd as well. It's the fighters seeing their friends get punched on and then hearing the crowd go ooh and ah against them. So they become gun shy when they get their opportunity to get out there and fight. So it's an effect.
You know this as well as anyone. You still have to put all that noise behind you. You're still a pro. You got to go out there. Forget about the bright lights. You got to figure out a way to compartmentalize.
And that's why you said me. I'm a veteran. I've been in this. I've done it a while. And that's why I said the captains need to come up on the teammates. Some of these Boston Butchers, older guys who have been in it, maybe the season 1 guys, can say, hey, let's get back in this and let's do something different than what we've already been doing, because we're starting to lose the grasp that we've had.
Well, telling you right now, it is starting to get chippy, but Philly has ripped off 3 straight rounds, and they lead it 49-46.
Cedeno looks very confident.
That's the other difference. Every fight we've seen this far, even though Boston was able to win the 3rd one, every Philly fighter has just this air of confidence about them when they step in the ring. And Boston has this look around, all right, I got to battle the judges, the crowd, and this guy in front of me, or this girl in front of me. And that's not where you want to be. Settle down a little bit. Try to take a round or 2 back.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier. It's easy for us to say it, right? But to your point, I think the veterans do need to step up a little bit. Tell these guys, just, settle down a little bit. Settle down.
It's just 1 round. You don't have to kill everybody on Philly. You got to beat 1 person in front of you. Right here, he let him get 5 punches off before he even answered or moved. You can't allow that to happen to an opponent that is at his home.
Back up to Miguel.
We now go to the 175-pound division. For Philadelphia, Jesse Hart versus Boston's Jordan Jackson. Philadelphia won the last round 10-9. The score is now 59-55 Philadelphia.
So Philly looking strong, just like they did against Vegas, and they throw the veteran who's been around the block a little bit in Philadelphia, Jesse Hart against Jordan Jackson, round 7 of 24. Philly smoke up by 4, 59-55. Early stages of the launch rounds. The winner will meet Miami in the Mega Brawl.
Yeah, there's nothing like fighting in front of your home crowd. But I saw Jesse Hart on his walkout give hugs and kisses to his family and his children. And as a man, as a father, as someone who's fighting at home, you love to see your crowd, your children in the crowd, and maybe your significant other. That gives you something to fight for, gives you a little bit of pizzazz while you're in there, a little bit of strength when you get tired. And that's the advantage of fighting at home.
I would say the 3 old heads, if you will, and I'm sure they'll get on me for saying this, but Jesse Hart, Ray Robinson, Joey DeWetchko, we're not going to see tonight the big-time heavyweight with the pop. They've been around the block, right? That's when you think Philly boxing, the names that come out, those 3 kind of stand out over the last several years, over the decade plus. Jesse Hart, one of the good guys in boxing, a historian of the game, a student of the game, loves the sport, has a passion for it, and he was excited to join Philadelphia this season.
Absolutely. It gives you an opportunity, this TCL thing. Gives you an opportunity to come back, give yourself a little bit of time to get ready for something else, or it gives yourself a time to be ready and put your mark on the boxing world from the Team Combat League's perspective. We are gaining new audiences and new fans every weekend. People don't understand that this is a team format of boxing, the new and the most exciting way of combat sports, the team version of it. A lot of people in Atlanta do not fight or act like a lot of people in Los Angeles. So you see this Boston and Philly crowd getting after it and these opponents getting after it. It's because they are fighting with their cities on their back.
Yeah, and one thing that Jesse will do, he will yap. The Philly fighters, they will jaw, they will yap. He had a great combination that scored about 30 seconds ago, under 50. Jackson's got to apply some type of pressure. Hasn't done much in this 7th round. And more importantly, Boston has to try to get a round back. We've got one more to close out the launch rounds. And as we mentioned during the opening monologue to start the telecast, we needed Boston. If you're a fan of the Butchers, you wanted them to weather that early storm, and quite frankly, they haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, with some of their main opponents, some of their main fighters out, with Ellis, good uppercut right there, and him feeling himself way too much right now with his family in the crowd, his children in the crowd, him being a veteran. He just clocked him.
Well, he just caught Jackson with a right hand, though. Feeling that right hand, and Jackson can only tie him up. Oh, Jackson's hurt. He's in trouble. I'll tell you what.
He got landed on. That right hand landed right over the top.
20 more seconds, he's going down. The rope's pretty much.
20 more seconds, that's a 10-8 round for sure. If not, 10-7 round. Children all in the crowd. That mouthpiece comes out. He catches him right on his chin. He gets to go show his family love because he put on a show here in Philly. And their team looking like they want to fight in LA for the championship.
Looking good thus far. Back to Miguel.
We now move to our heavyweight division. For Philadelphia, Conja Nathan taking on Boston Skylar Lacy. The last round is scored 10-9 for Philadelphia. The score is now 69-64 Philadelphia.
I would not be surprised here if we see a knockout in this one. I think Nathan is going to try to come over the top with that right hand. I just think the momentum right now for Philly, they really want to just break the will of Boston in these launch rounds and just try to put them away early, even though we've still got 16 more rounds to go. The momentum, the tide right now, all in Philly's favor. Lacy has to take it back for Boston, and already looks like he got bruised, slight cut over the nose. I mean, Nathan is a free swinging type of heavyweight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Skylar being a vet, being here last year, been fighting for multiple different teams, he's someone who knows how it works here in Team Combat League. And he can feel that momentum that there's in the air. He knows that Smoke wants to knock him out and get that highlight for his crowd. And he's got to do a job of making it ugly, not allowing Lacy or not allowing Nathan to get off the punches he wants.
But he's got the height advantage, right? So use it to your advantage.
Right.
Wild left hand from Nathan. Looked like a little swelling already on the nose of Lacy midway through round 8 of 24. Philadelphia has ripped off 4 straight rounds. Another wild right hand from Nathan. Boston would love to grab this round. Just stop the bleeding a little bit. Just ate a left hand, did Lacy.
Yeah, this could be an easy round to steal. I'm not one big power shot. And all you have to do being Lacy is pepper a jab here, put a jab on his belly, not letting those hands come forward, put a jab on his chest, put a jab on his forehead, and those 3 areas will allow you to get away and escape with an efficient round without getting knocked out. It's when he starts getting past those jabs and underneath those arms that Nathan is going to try to do his best duty to get that overhand or that hook.
And that's a confidence-building round if they can secure it going in the middle rounds. Wild right hand from Nathan. There's that looping right hand.
Yeah, he got over that jab. There goes across to that chest. And Skylar Lacy's going to be his own audience. As he landed that punch, he put his hand up and said, ooh, letting everybody know that I got one. I got one too. He might have got some, but I got one. Love Skylar Lacy's ability to want to compete. He wants to give the crowd what they've been looking for, but from Boston's perspective. If he was from Philly, they would be going crazy. He's playing to the crowd. Love it. Love to see him play to the crowd. Got his hand behind his back, a little bow action. He's definitely the big bad wolf for the crowd.
Crowd appreciative. Over to Miguel. So see how it plays out after 8 rounds. Launch rounds in the books. We'll get the scoring of round 8. See if Boston was able to slice into the deficit or Philly extended their margin.
The last round was scored 10-9 for Philadelphia. The score is now 79-73. Philadelphia is in the lead.
That was one of the first times tonight I didn't agree with the judging. I thought that Skylar had did enough to win that round. There weren't many big, powerful punches landed by the big, powerful guy. And all that Lacy did was jab, jab, and get out of the way from the power. It was like we knew that Philly wanted to knock him out with the power punches, and we knew that Butcher wanted to stay away with the jab. And that's what I thought I saw.
Well, I mean, that point is, when you think about it, could be vital going forward. Philadelphia leading it by 6, 79-73. Bubba Jenkins, Rich Quinones, ringside down below, inside a jam-packed 2300 arena. We already know Miami's on their way out west to Mega Brawl 2. Will it be Philly or Boston? We thought Boston had to weather that early storm, and my friend, let's be honest, they didn't. Philadelphia ripped off every round except one, and that was the Albright round 3. What does Boston need to do to take the momentum back and make this a competitive contest?
Well, not fight Philly in Philly. One thing about Philadelphia is they bring the smoke here in Philadelphia. They love their crowd because their crowds definitely get into it. It's definitely the confidence behind them. It's that extra oomph behind these swings. You can tell that Philly is fighting in Philadelphia.
All right, let's see what the guys think. Back up to Miguel Flores and our panel this evening.
Thanks so much, Rich, Miguel Flores, Stephen Breadman Edwards, and Stephen. Total domination to start. If that's, you couldn't have drawn up a more perfect start if you're the Philadelphia Smoke.
I think the start was actually perfect because I thought Nahir Albright won his fight too. So I thought they won all 8 fights, and I'm not just saying that because I'm from Philadelphia. They were dominant. I thought he won his fight too.
So they are right now in the lead, 79-73. Who really stood out to you in those launch rounds?
Everybody performed excellent. Everybody performed. Rasheen Brown probably stood out to me the most. He was like, he boxed flawless. But